I should probably unmute, right? Weird. Hello, everybody. How's it going, best codes? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy birthday to GitHub today. Am I right? Woohoo! I forget how old GitHub is. I want to say 17 years, 13 years. It's an unusual odd number, but yay! Where I know that Microsoft had their 50th birthday last week, and then Git had its 20th birthday on Monday. And yeah, now it's GitHub's birthday. So many birthdays all in a row. Woohoo indeed. Hello, hello. Oh, it is 17? There you go. Again, I knew it was an odd number of some kind. How are you all doing? I've had a couple moments in the past couple days where I'm like, dang, vibe coding is real. Where it's not so much like, oh, I don't care about the outputs, I don't care about security, yada, yada, yada. But we just had a few really cool experiments on my team that have been really, really interesting. Hello, hi. Where so for example, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me pull up a GitHub repo so that way y'all can see. 1 second. Maintainer month. In case you aren't aware, it's very exciting. Maintainer month is next month, and maintainer month every single month is just a time to celebrate maintainers, listen to cool talks, etc. And so this is the maintainer month website, and I will share it. It's maintainermonth.github.com, and I'm sharing it in chat. You can check it out. But anyway, we were just on a call, and one of the people who works on organizing Maintainer Month is not wildly technical, but she knows her way around some things, and she had a list of streams that she wanted to add to the Maintainer Month schedule because of Open Source Fridays. And Open Source Fridays is our stream that happens every Friday on this channel across all the things, where you can listen to open source maintainers talk about cool things. So anyway, we wanted to add those open source streams to the Maintainer Month website, and we had a series of issues that showed what streams that we wanted to add. So what we did was, on github.com, you can like click the Copilot button. I don't know if you know that. Let me show you. There's a Copilot button right up here where you can click chat with Copilot. And when you're in a repo, you can say like, hey, can you answer these questions about these issues or whatever. So we were in the repo that had all of the issues for Open Source Friday of like, this is the stream, this is the maintainer, these are the details, yada, yada, yada. We said, hey, could you format these issues into Markdown in the Copilot chat? And it did it. We're like, oh, that's great. And so then for this Maintainer Month website, we made an issue and we said, hey, given all of this Markdown that Copilot just generated, make pages for each of the events that will be on the website. And so then we clicked agent mode and it did it for us. And as a result, we now have all of those issues are now formatted into the Maintainer Month website, and we didn't have to code. It was so nice. Where like, once again, I still think people should learn how to code. AI is very cool. It has its limits, just like humans do, etc. But it was so dang nice to not have to manually copy and paste all of these GitHub issues into a markdown format, make a page for each one individually, and just say, take these issues, format it, make files, commit it to this other repo, and it just did it. I'm a believer. It was very, very cool. But I'm also going to start saying hey to people. So, hey, Abdul. Hey, Bright. What up, y'all? It's good to see you. Hey, Jerry. So anyway, that was a really, really cool experience to have AI do that. My first attempt at vibe coding was yesterday, actually, and I had a very cool time doing it. And I actually open sourced the repo so you can see it. So I'm going to go to my profile and I'll share the repo actually right here, where I had agent mode open, and I was just like, okay, I've got GitHub agent mode. What if I just did something fun? And so I started thinking about like all of the old there were like a bunch of old websites back in the day where you sometimes see it now, but it would just like have like a little trail of cool stuff following your mouse. And I was like, okay, I want to do something where it just follows my mouse. What if I just did glowy lights? And so that's basically what I did. And I actually, in this repo that I have linked here, I shared the prompts that I did. So I passed it to agent mode and I said, using Three.js, turn index.html, which is a file I'd already made, into a light simulator. When you move your mouse around the page, glowing colorful lights should follow it. The lights should feel fluid almost and fade away after a few seconds. And then it did it. And it looked not so great. I made some changes and then I said, let's add some more rainbow colors to the lighting so it's not just black and white, and also make the trail a bit smoother. Right now it's a little bit stiff. Make it more fluid would be better, like if it dispersed a little bit more. It's very English. Like it's very much not like implement this functionality and stuff, which I've not done before. I typically approach using AI for coding like with specification documents of exactly what I want because I have a problem with control. But anyway, I did that, and now you can see the demo, and it looks pretty cool, right? That's fun. And it works on your phone. It actually, I think, looks even better on your phone. And when you stop moving the mouse, it disperses in a fun way. I played with it a little bit more, but I was just kind of happy with this, so I didn't go much further than that. But it was really nice to just experiment with because I really do like playing with Three.js, but I've always been kind of intimidated by all of the math involved, where I genuinely like math. It's interesting to me. It was one of those subjects in schools I genuinely enjoyed, but it was just enough where it always slowed me down from doing anything with Three.js beyond like polygons, boxes, etc. And so the fact that I could tell agent mode to be just like, hey, I want you to just do this stuff for me. And then I could tweak it from there to do a little bit of the math myself, but I was able to just like use English to describe what I wanted. I thought that was really cool. Where this obviously has no particular purpose in real life. So this is kind of a low risk thing to not check too much on like code quality or anything. But it was so fun to make, right? So this is my little happy birthday present to GitHub. I vibe coded with GitHub Copilot agent mode, and it was a fun time. And I will say, if you go to the repo and click the link for the demo on your phone, it's really fun on your phone, if I do say so myself. Anyway, that has been my vibe coding. I keep using that phrase and I don't love it, but it's really kind of true because I didn't touch the code too much. But if you ever want to play with it, check it out. That has been my experience over the past 12 hours. It hasn't even been a full day. of me just playing with these tools. But anyway, what are y'all working on? I want to know. Um, it has been a busy time here at GitHub Central where we're doing a whole lot of prep for just events coming up and what else is going on? I feel like so many things. Just lots of prep, lots of videos that we're making and content that we're producing, all for you. What would you like to hear? What would you like to see? Do you want to vibe code something? Let me know. Curious about your thoughts. Oh, you're optimizing your MCP client for the NX repo. Awesome. MCP it's been really cool to see. And for those who don't know what MCP is, I wrote a blog that is due to go out on the GitHub blog tomorrow, but because I'm impatient, I also put it on my own personal blog a little less filtered. And so I'm popping it in the chat just in case you want to know a bit more about what MCP is. But long story short, it's a standard for connecting LLMs and AI assistants to data and tools. So this is my little blog. There will be a much more like formal post on the GitHub blog coming out tomorrow. But anyway, that's awesome that you're working on your MCP client. It's really cool to see how much an open standard is good for innovation. And I feel this way, MCP, yes, but also about like RSS, for example. So many innovations in RSS have happened because it's an open standard. And so I am all for something like MCP. And so the fact that MCP is an open source, open standard for connecting data is a good thing. And it's fun to see all of the exciting innovations that are happening because people are making stuff for it. And to give you like an idea of what this would mean and how this works with MCP is loosely based on the concept of LSP. Was it LSP? Yes, the language server protocol, where before the language server protocol back in 2016 was a thing, whenever you had an editor of some kind, it had to support individual languages a ton. So you could be just like, oh, I don't want to use this editor because it doesn't support Python, but I don't want to use this editor because it only supports Java, whatever. It was one thing where every single type of editor had to implement support for all of these different languages. When the language server protocol came out, LSP, when that came out, that meant that you could implement the protocol and any language that supported LSP would automatically be supported in your text editor, which made Visual Studio Code huge. VS Code was huge, but then it also was able to be implemented across other editors. Was that why JetBrains had different editors for every language? Yes, exactly. But because of LSP, now developers don't really have to think about like, oh, does it support X language anymore? Like it just does. It is just a part of it. And so MCP, Model Context Protocol, wants to be that, but for AI tools, where if I'm a service, I'm going to say Supabase because I know that they just came out with one. If I'm Supabase, normally I would have to come up with a tool that would, is my camera jagged? Oh, it seems fine now. If I wanted to come up with a tool that supported GitHub Copilot, that supported Cursor, Windsurf, all of these different things, I would have to make one for every single individual one, and that's a pain. But if you implement MCP, then that means that they implement it once as a provider, and then all of these AI tools and services can just accept the MCP layer. Like it's that standard of connecting, which is really awesome. And so that's like the general metaphor that I use for explaining what MCP is, and that's something that's exciting because developers are going to be able to implement AI solutions with very minimal setup now without having to say like, okay, well now this needs to support this, now this needs to support this. It can just work. It's all very exciting. So MCP was first open sourced in November this past November, and so it's still very new. But GitHub just came out with their MCP server, which I will link. One second. And I know like 11 Labs just came out with theirs. There's a bunch of really really cool MCP things that are coming out right now, because once again, the more people contribute to it and the more open it is, the better it gets, because that's just how open standards work. Whenever I go through the GitHub changelog, I'm just like, oh, we implement so many things. Not to boast on behalf of my company, but it is very true. Look at all these things that we've implemented since MCP last week. Okay, so I just pasted the link right here. Voila. This is GitHub's MCP server. Let me go back to it. Oh my word, there's so many. That one. Yeah, so anyway, now you can just do a ton more, and it's way easier to just implement GitHub data and stuff into your AI tools now. And so I've seen some people do interesting things where it was just like they're able to say, hey, tell me about my open issues on this repo, do blah 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 blah. And because they've implemented the MCP server, they're able to get a lot more in depth without having to deal with doing that level of authentication and stuff themselves. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's very exciting. If y'all want to get more into this kind of stuff, Kenzie Dodds just announced this morning he's going to be doing a bunch of AI learning content. Nice. Well, there you go. And we are too. Not to once again be the shill, but we are. Sorry, I just realized I should zoom in a little more. We have videos and content coming out constantly. I am not going to open up our YouTube now because chances are you're already here. Or if you're on Twitch or LinkedIn, you could just go to the GitHub YouTube. But if the MCP videos aren't out now, they will be like tomorrow or in the next few days. And there's a lot of stuff coming to the GitHub YouTube. And also to the VS Code YouTube, because that team is also producing a ton of stuff. I'm going to be streaming with them on Wednesday next week. Yes. And I don't remember what it's about. Oh, agent mode. We're going to be talking about agent mode in VS Code on Wednesday next week. So that should be fun. GitHub MCP server is free. Yep, and open source, baby. You can visit the repo and learn how to set it up. And I'm going to paste a link in the chat just for you. Once again, I can't post it on LinkedIn because of how they do their comments. So just github.com/github-mcp/server. But it'll show you how to get everything set up so that way you can run it in VS Code or wherever you want to run MCP things. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, what else are y'all working on? I could just gab about this stuff all day. I geek out about anything with open standards to the point where I have blog posts about it, but I'm not going to show my own posts now. But if you go to my blog, you'll see. This is the URL. Anyway, yeah. What else are y'all working on? I totally got carried away when Jerry was talking about implementing MCP stuff. Oh, you just finished your clock app that you were working on? API error messages. Is it time zones? I'm sorry. That's rough. That's rough. What else are y'all working on? Oh no, don't be sorry. Do not be sorry. I'm glad that we talked about it because I can geek out about it for a while. Once again, I've just been kind of playing with a lot of things lately. I luckily have had like a little bit more time in the day. A few meetings were canceled, and so I was able to actually experiment with some of the AI tooling that I've been wanting to attempt, and it's been very exciting. It's very fun. One second, I gotta move around some windows. Doobie doobie doo. Zoobie zoobie zoo. Okay, moved my windows. Time zone. No, I'm so sorry. Time zones are the curse, and unfortunately, you are learning that the hard way. I'm very sorry. That is devastating. We did like an AI time zone conversion thing at work, just like as kind of a joking team activity. And so many people who have suffered through time zone things were just like, don't do it because you really need to be precise. You can't just say you can't vibe code time zones, unfortunately, which could probably be needle pointed on a pillow or something. But anyway, it worked in the end. It was fine. Whatever we were making. Working on an IoT project. Ooh, what kind of IoT? That sounds fun. I haven't. I literally have like a Arduino right over here that it's kind of staring at me in the face. Cause I'm like, I've been meaning to build something with that later, and that's kind of how my IoT projects have been going. There's too many projects and not enough time in the day. Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up my editor. I'm in the mood to try another vibe coding thing. For those who are just getting here, something that I implemented to like a little bit this morning, but mostly last night was this like fun little Three.js thing. And it was so fun. It was just kind of like a cool thing where I was explaining this is exactly what I want. I want it to be a Three.js thing that follows your mouse. And it's pretty, right? I touched almost zero code to create this, which was both very uncomfortable for me, but also freeing in a way. And so I put the prompts that I put into the agent mode stuff to make it work. And I did a little bit of like editing on my own, but besides that, I was just like, I'm just gonna let AI do its thing, prompt it, see what happens. And it's kind of a pretty little just toy. Nothing nothing absolutely wild, but I liked the idea of it. Um, and I kind of want to try something similar if you want to do one with me right now. Okay, so let me just close this up and pull up my editor. Doobie dabba dabba dabba. Blammo. Okay. New window. I will drag it over 1 second. The joys of streaming, you gotta get things somewhat set up so that way you don't just show off things that are keys and stuff. Anyway, I saw someone who was not, how do I phrase this? They are very much a vibe Cody developer, and they haven't implemented a whole lot outside of that context, which is fine. But they were showing, here's how I built this super cool thing. Then they showed all of their keys in their live stream. And I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. And they're just like, it's fine. People stole their keys. It was bad. They should not have done that. Let's see. You also use Arduino. Cool. Yeah, it's very shiny. You're also working on an IoT project. That's so cool. Let's see. Can you share the CSS ext file? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you please explain? Otherwise, one moment as I get a new repo set up and we will vibe code it. I'm going to call it Bubbles because I want to see if we can make something cool and bubbly. What does that mean? I don't know yet, but we're going to do it together. I'm going to call it the Three.js Bubble Party. Yeah. Do 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 do. Okay, cool. I have made the Three.js bubble party. I am going to push it into a repo so that we can work on this together. So 1 second. I will explain to you what's happening in just a moment. Okay, so I used GitHub Desktop and I made a repo called Three.js bubble party. We've done literally nothing else. And I'm putting it in the chat so you can follow along. But, oh yeah, make the cursor a bubble wand. I love that idea. Let's do that. Hoo 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 hoo. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm pulling out my VS Code Insiders, and I'm going to open up that folder. I should have done that earlier. Actually, 1 second. Let me just remove the screen for a second while I do that, because I don't need you to see the mess of folders that I have right here. Please hold while I pull this up. Okay, Three.js bubble party. Selecting the folder. Okay, we're back. Okay, so I've opened the folder. All we have is our README in here. I'm actually just going to change this to bubble party. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to make a new file. It'll be an index.html. And I'm actually going to do nothing in here. I'm going to pull out Copilot, and we're going to do agent mode, and we're going to just see where the prompts take us. How does that sound? Chaotic? Yes. But that's what this new world is. Okay, so what I would like to do is, yeah, make the cursor a bubble wand. And so I think it would be fun to be just like, I want to use Three.js to make the cursor a bubble wand and blow bubbles. That seems fine, right? Now, it could be cool to be just like, oh, you've run out of soap, and like dunk the wand in a thing and then do it again. But I feel like that's a little scope creepy for something initially. So I'm just going to start with, in this index.html file, implement a Three.js bubble wand, where as you, no, not Three.js, implement a Three.js thing. How do I want to phrase this? In this index.html file, use Three.js to turn the cursor into a bubble wand of sorts, where as you wave the mouse around, or if you're on mobile, because fingers, your finger around the screen, bubbles come out of it and float away. Let's just start with that. I decided to use Claude 3.5 with this. I've found that I really like Claude 3.7, and I like 4.02. Or GPT 402. I've played with a few of these models, but I found that Claude 3.5 gives me like the best combination of everything, the fastest. You know. Let's see, you probably want to describe the bubbles. Yeah, no, I'm going to describe them later. Let's get like some of the initial stuff out of the way, because I don't want to give it too much, because otherwise the prompt gets a little bit too heavy. We're vibing. Let's see. Okay, translucent appearance, subtle shine. Sure, all that. Let's keep it, and let's see what that looks like, shall we? I'm going to open this. Oh, I gotta open it over here. Hey, guess what? It didn't work. Okay, that is fine. Let's see what our errors are. let's see. Cannot read properties of undefined on our index.html line. What was that? I closed the window prematurely. Where did it go? Okay, on line 136. Okay, I'm just gonna put that, I'll put that over here on the side. Excuse me while I move my windows yet again. Okay, and then I'm gonna close that. Line 136. Okay, the scene's not working, but it looks like it has some ambient light and stuff. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get this error. I'm getting uncaught type error. Let's just have it fix the error first and see what happens. But yeah, it's fun to see what it does, how it might fix a specific problem here and there. Once again, we're vibe coding. I'll check the quality of the code later. Right now, we're just going to try to make things happen. The error occurs because we're trying to modify bubble positions after some bubbles have been removed from the scene. That makes sense. Okay, cool. We're keeping your changes. Let's try it again. It's still mad, but now it's mad at a different spot. Oh no. I think it's actually the same error. I'm going to try it again. And say, you see, it's okay. Sometimes it just doesn't work right out of the box. And I'll get over it. I'm not sad. We're vibing. We're just checking it out. Breakpoint vibing, exactly. That's what this is. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I've found, because AI is non-deterministic, like humans, sometimes if I were to say, hey, person, implement this thing, does your code always work on the first try? If it does, good for you. You're in the minority. So sometimes if it doesn't work on the first try, it's okay. Whenever it does work on the first try, I'm suspicious. Did anyone try the Browser Tools MCP, which is able to directly pull the error from the browser console? No. Oh, that's cool. All right, let's see what this is. I'm kind of annoyed whenever it's like, use this for loop in reverse to safely remove. Like, why are you updating comments? I don't care about the comments. Fix the code. Okay, it looks like it's improved. Oh, I see. It basically reordered the lighting so that way the lighting happens earlier because it's very state machiney in how 3JS load 6. Okay. Whoa! Okay. These bubbles are super ugly, but it works. We got something going. Great. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, here's what I want to do. I want to have it look like we're in a park. Adding comments that just literally say what the code is doing. It's yeah, it's really so sometimes the comments I'm just like, why'd you do that? Like if anybody looks at my code, they'll know I didn't write this comment because it's just so silly. Yeah, right now it just kind of looks like I'm throwing eggs in the air. Let's make these bubbles cooler. Also, there's just like a little floating dot right there. Do you see that? I don't know if you see that. There's like a little floating dot on the screen that's perpetually just there. Anyway, okay. So we want the bubbles to be, I know some people said this earlier in the comments, transparent, reflective, all that. We want it to look like we're in a pretty place. It would be really cool to do this in like Google Street View, where you're like standing in a park or something on Street View and blowing bubbles there. That's so scope creepy. We must stop. One thing at a time. Okay. So let's Make the bubbles reflective and transparent and pretty. And I'm also, let me unsplash.com. Let me get a park. I want to say that we're in a nice and pretty park. That one looks nice. I don't want to bother that lady on the bench. Let's blow bubbles in this park where there are no humans. Okay. Let's see. Original size. We're copying the link. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is that a cemetery? One thing at a time, Cassidy. Okay. Make this the background image. It's a picture of a park. I want the bubbles to be more transparent and reflective with light rainbows in them, just like real life. In an ideal world, they would also react to the background image and slightly morph what's behind them. Windows XP desktop background. I should have done that. You're right. You're right. It's okay. One thing at a time. That was a good idea though. I like it. The only thing that makes us happy after looking at the code is that it works. Yeah. When it works, what a joy. Truly. But this is really fun. I do have a really good time doing this because it's less like focusing on syntax and more focusing on like what do you want from it. Once again, this is challenging because scaling is a thing that we have to think about in life. But this is not a service this is going to scale. It's just going to be bubbles and it'll be fun. Look at it go. We're just having fun. And I feel like that's what I kind of like about the concept of vibe coding is you're just kind of making stuff. You want to make something more serious? Yes, of course, you're going to have to actually write the code, maintain things, do best practices. But if I'm doing something silly like a bubble wand, this is pretty entertaining, right? Keep. Okay, let's see what happened. Okay, say goodbye to our eggs. Let's find out what happens here. Okay. Ooh. Okay, the bubbles are way smaller and you can barely see them. It says iridescence is not a property of this material. What does that mean? I mean, I know what that means, but like, did we have to apply a material to it? There's no errors. Okay. Cool. Right now, I'm getting a lot of XYZ is not a property of this material, including where XYZ is iridescence. Spelling is so hard sometimes. Specular color, thickness, specular intensity, etc. Please fix this. Also, make the bubbles a little bigger, but no more than 500 pixels wide. Making that up. What if you show it an image of bubbles? Oh, Kadesha, you genius. Yeah, because Copilot Vision is a thing. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, light bulb. Yeah, no, yeah, actually, like, that's a good idea. I'm just gonna hit send on this for a second because what I could do, yeah, is show it a picture of a bubble and be like, make it match this bubble, just a series of bubbles. That would be very interesting. I'm going to just see what it does with this first, but I kind of like that idea to be just like, this is what the bubble should look like. Copy it. That feels that feels too magical to me, but also I love that. But you just screenshot it and add it to the chat context window? Okay, cool. I'll try it. Okay. Let's keep these changes. Let's see what happens with that. And then oh, now the bubbles just aren't even showing up. Oh, because 3 is not defined. Oh, you little stinker. You know what? I'm changing this to 3.7. It's more recently trained. Now I'm getting uncottage. Let's fix this. Because 3.7 is more recently trained and probably has some more up-to-date stuff. But if they open like a balloon, it's going to be beautiful like some of them. Yeah. Yeah. We got to get them back on the page first. How does one get an interview for a job at GitHub? Apply for one first. So github.careers is where the job board is for GitHub. And there's no rules for how you get an interview at GitHub. It really kind of just depends on the role because different hiring managers look for different things. And new roles come up and go away all the time, just depending on how shifting headcounts are. So I would say, like, if you've applied for one role, you don't have to just apply for the one role. Apply for many. Apply and check somewhat regularly because priorities and stuff change that are often out of your control and out of sometimes even the hiring manager's control. And so just kind of continuously apply is the best way to get your foot in the door. And then in terms of like being actually qualified for a role, make sure your resume is very clear about what you've done. Don't just make up numbers. Show like this is the type of work that you do and why you're a good fit for a certain role. Yeah. Yeah. I bet it hallucinated a version that doesn't exist because it was updating a version. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So anyway, we're gonna try this. Let's see what happens. Ooh, there we go. Okay. The bubbles are still a little too big, but I kind of like it. Okay. Great. Okay, so we have a start. We have a start. It's pretty. Now I'm going to say, okay, I want the bubbles to start a little bit smaller because the bubbles are a little too big, and I want the bubbles to be more pretty rainbow. This is where I'm going to do Kadesha's request, where I'm going to look up bubbles on Google Images and just see what happens. Oh, this is pretty. Perfect. This one. So wait, you just copy an image and then paste it in the chat? Screenshot and add it to the chat context window. Okay, we're trying it. I'm going to add a couple just to really give it a lay of the land and be like, look at these pictures of bubbles. Our bubbles are very gray and monotone. Make our bubbles more pretty and reflective like the ones here. Also a bit smaller so that you can see multiple at once. Let's see. Wow. That's a cool idea, Kadesha. I'm excited to see what might happen. Because once again, this isn't bad. This is it's getting us somewhere. But yeah, they're not that cute. And we want to vibe code cute bubbles. Am I right? Add one power above one to confuse it. No. That was useful advice. Yay, no, I'm glad. Yeah, it's one of those things where I've talked to a few people who are discouraged. I applied to GitHub like 3 times before I got this job, and it just is what it is. Because sometimes some roles go up, some roles go down, but, don't be discouraged if you don't get interviews for certain roles, just keep applying. And yeah, be very specific about what you can do on your resume. Write a cover letter. If there's an opening for it. I know that some of the job applications have one, some don't, but, I personally, whenever I'm hiring, I read every cover letter. Not all hiring managers do, but, you know, that's great. I like the current build, but maybe if they're varied. Yeah, like right now it's very gray, but it works. So let's see what happens. Start further from the screen and move slower. Yeah, I'm going to do that too once we get something that looks better. I agree. We're vibe coding. That's right. It's where we're kind of just telling it to do things and seeing where it takes us. And so far, so good. We had Jacob in the chat said, let's turn our cursor into a bubble wand. And that is what we're trying. Okay. Let's see where it goes. Okay, say goodbye to our gray bubbles. Let's see what those images did. Ready? Nothing. Oh, we're back to eggs. Okay. Well, that's fine. Well, they actually do look like better bubbles. They're just still really gray, but overall the bubbles actually are better. Like there is some specular highlights and stuff in them. But yeah, they're very opaque. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to put this in the chat and be like, I got this warning in the console. Also, the bubbles are quite opaque. Could you make them a bit more transparent and rainbow and make them float a bit more naturally and disperse rather than flooding out of the mouse? Because right now they're just kind of like brrr. I do like the idea of a vanishing point. Yeah, for sure. Is it Easter soon? Yeah, we could be just like, I made an egg launcher for Easter coming up. In your experience, is open source work and personal projects valued by many hiring managers? Yes, but that's also my experience because I typically have gone for roles that are very involved in the open source community. So this is one of those it depends answers once again. I think personally that open source and personal projects are some of the best things that you can do to enhance your portfolio, but that's once again been my experience. I know several open source companies that just hire from their maintainers, where they look to see who has committed to the repo or helped triage issues or just like communicated with the team saying, hey, this is something that I ran into and stuff, and that's how they hire. Like Godot, the game engine does that, for example. I know Home Assistant, they look for through their maintainers. Cal.com does that. There's a lot of very open source heavy companies that look at who's doing open source work. But it depends because I admit there's also some like very old school companies that are like, that's play code. It's not real. They're wrong. But that's what happens. So yes, from my experience, but overall it depends for sure. Okay. Let's see. This is kind of funny how they're just like shooting out of here. Yes, definitely less so for toy projects. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Where like I'm making a toy project right now and I'm not even writing the code. This is probably not going to get me a job anywhere. But, you know, there's okay, say goodbye to our eggs. What's actually fun, if you look in the distance super closely, I can't even zoom in really that much. There's still tiny little eggs floating off in the distance over there. Bye, eggs. Now what? Oh, that's better. Still a little fast for my liking, but it's better. Okay. I'm going to give it one more bubble picture. I'm going to give it this one. This is an improvement, but let's try again. Look at this image. Our bubbles should render more closely to this. Because it's close. It's close. They should also emerge a bit more slowly and naturally from the mouse and assume a bit more far away right now instead of right in the user's face. We'll just try it. Yeah, no, I do like it. Like I like it. This is the best it's been. I think we can do better. And you know what I should have done? I should have committed this. It's okay. We'll commit next time. But I do like where we're at right now. Because the one risk with all of this vibe coding is that yeah, you make all of these efforts and then if you don't save it along the way, then you lose it. But yes, I should have staged and commit. Stage and commit. Because if you lose your code, you're gonna be so sad. Luckily, there is an undo button in the chat that I have made use of, but I should have committed this. So let's just see where we're at. If I like it even remotely, I'm committing it, pushing it. Then we'll keep iterating, or who knows? Maybe this one will be perfect. I do think the bubble picture was a really good call by Kadesha. That was a good one. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, once again, happy birthday, GitHub. How fun is it? I know that we're posting like some stuff on the internet. It's kind of one of those chill birthdays because it's not like a decade or 5-year mark. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to see that all the birthday celebrations and just to be a part of it. I feel like it's nice to see established organizations have such good milestones that kind of show that they're continuing to impact developers to this day, you know? GitHub is the same birthday as you? No, because today's not my birthday. For those who don't know what Jacob is saying right here, there's just trolls who say it's my birthday every day whenever I live stream. It is not. It was a joke that my little sister started, which is a very younger sibling thing to do, where every single time I would live stream, she would say it was my birthday, and the chat would be like, happy birthday, Cassidy. Oh. And then people really just clung to that. And now, like, I've spoken at conferences where people shout happy birthday as I'm introducing myself. I'm like, thank you, but it's not my birthday. Please stop. And it's just such a dumb joke that has lasted years. Where honestly, I respect it because people have kept it up for so long. But I'm also like, There's such better jokes in the world. Do better. Yeah, exactly. Every day is my birthday, but it's not. It's in December. We are well past it. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's goodbye bubbles. Let's see what we're getting here. Oh no! See, this is oh my. This is not what I was expecting in any way, shape, or form. Look at that. That is something. It put the image inside the bubble. Wow, that is really not what I was expecting there. Cool. Honestly, I kind of like this, but this is not what I want. Um, yeah, really thinking outside the box. It's just like you want rainbow, you got it. Everything is bubble now. What a fascinating thing. Um, I'm speechless. Once again, this is really a lesson in you got to commit because then you're going to end up with this where that's just not what I wanted, Copilot. I thank you. I see the background image inside each of these bubbles. I'm going to say undo and save it and say goodbye to these rainbow bubbles because that was it's neat. You're right. It is neat and it corrected the sizes. It did some things well. But this is not what I want. So I'm going to say goodbye and refresh and go back to our gray bubbles. I'm going to commit this because I don't trust myself. Okay. Vibe coded on stream. Bubbles are gray, but they exist. Okay, I'm just going to commit that and push it. Where once again, if you've been following along, it's cool if you haven't. I did make a repo for this already, so you can check it out, play with it, and do what you'd like with this Three.js bubble party. I'm gonna miss those vibrant bubbles. I mean, I could redo it and put it in a branch if you really want them. Do you want me to do that? That's the power of Git, people. There we go. Now I'll save that. And you got your weird rainbow bubbles, and I'm gonna put that in a branch. Just for you. Okay. Current branch, new branch, rainbow weirdness. Create branch. Bring my changes to rainbow weirdness. Make bubbles rainbow and weird. There you go. Published it. You can choose if you want to do something with it. But now I'm going to go back to main. Okay. We're back. Okay. There's got to be something I can do here to make them a little bit more normal. I'm going to say, okay, I want to make the bubbles. I'm going to do one thing at a time. Right now, I'm going to make them a little bit slower and smaller. Come out of the mouse more slowly and more naturally dispersed. Start with that. Can Copilot see diffs between branches? Yes. Depends on how you use it. Like you especially there's like the at GitHub agent, which is very hard to Google, by the way, because if you're trying to look up at GitHub and agent, anyway, you could do like at GitHub in Copilot chat and ask specific questions about like the repo itself, and that is where you can say changes across branches. Oh, like could you ask it for the background from this branch with the bubbles from the other one? Yeah. Honestly, what I could have just done is kept that and then manually myself wrote code, what a concept, and put the background back because it's literally, I don't even know if you could see this. Uh, it's just a background image. Like that's literally what this is. It's just an image tag. Ooh, hopefully I didn't mess something up. Yeah. Um, so that wasn't the problem, but yes, I could. Eh. Um, which really quick, while it does that, let me check my calendar really quick because I just noticed the time. We have just over 10 minutes until the LATAM version of Rubber Duck Thursday starts, where this stream will be in Spanish with my lovely teammate Andrea. And so let's try to get this done relatively quickly so we can get on to our next host and the next set. Okay, let's see. It is almost done. I'm gonna bring this back up. And I'm gonna keep playing with this. Keep an eye on the repo. Once again, I shared it in the chat. I'm gonna keep poking around until I get something that I'm happy with, and you'll be able to see it. Okay, got our changes. Let's see what happened there. Okay, now it is way too slow. Come on. No, I don't like that. I'm glad we committed. Glad we committed. Whoa, Nelly, you'd be straying away from vibe code if you start writing code yourself. You're right. I shouldn't. I shan't. Okay, this was way too slow. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna vibe code this. I wanna just write the code so bad. This is where I'm starting to be like, I don't know. But once again, I did make the cool, if you saw it earlier, I did make a cool 3JS light party. It was very similar to this, but it was with light. Look how cool that was. But I think bubbles are particularly hard because of their texture. If you want to see this one, it was pretty much the exact same process. That, yeah. It's fun to vibe code. It's fun to experiment. It's fun to have these tools that are like readily available to us to play with. I'm going to try to make these bubbles look cool. I have a plan. I just have to implement said plan, and I'm gonna vibe code it. I'm gonna try not to write code. I'm probably gonna write some code. Anyway, all that being said, thank you all for hanging out with me today and for writing some code, doing some things. Pleasure learning today. Pleasure learning with you today too. Learning, talking, chilling. It's always a good time. Once again, Rubber Duck Thursdays happens every Thursday. We have a time zone that's much more EU, UK friendly. That's at, oh my word, I forget it every week. I want to say 10 a.m. GMT. It's like right now, but like 7 hours ago ish. And yeah, actually did some coding this time instead of just yapping. And then we also have a Brazilian version that happens on the GitHub Brazil channels and here as well. And that happens at the time. The time has been changing a little bit depending on where the viewers are, but we'll schedule it ahead of time. And then right after this is the Latin American version. And so if you want to improve your Spanish or if you know Spanish, stick around because that's starting in about 10 minutes. And it should be fun. Learn some things, do some things. But it's been lovely hanging out with all of you. I really appreciate the time. Happy birthday to GitHub. If you want to learn more about MCP, check out the GitHub blog. I know my post on it is going out tomorrow. And then there's also some videos that our team is working on. And then there's more releases coming. That's all I'm allowed to say. There's more coming. Ooh. Okay. It's been fun hanging out with all of you. I will see you next time. Bye.